voices of Degenerates. By now, you should know who we are, but if you don't, then obviously we've got Reeps, Mrs. Reeps, we've got Lil Baby, we got Sea Dog.
Hey.
There she is. Yeah, Lil
You
Baby's
see her
gonna have
eyes.
this camera angle the entire episode. So just be prepared to
We
see
have cam
eyebrows
footage.
and possible nostrils. All right, just so
Possible
you guys know,
boogers.
possible nostrils.
Nah. We got them cleared.
And then of course we got your boy Cito. Today's episode
And
is
me.
gonna be a
I'm here too.
structureless. Oh, I didn't say Lil Reeps. I thought I
No.
said Lil Reeps. My bad, Lil Reeps. We got Lil Reeps too.
I'm sure
Um,
this.
yeah, exactly. I'm here. So on today's episode, we're actually gonna be venturing a little off of our normal structure, but not too crazy. We're just gonna kind of wing it today. We're just gonna, talk about what we want to talk about. Kind of open session. So if you guys are in the chat and you want to talk about something, you guys think that something that needs to be said, throw it in the chat. Maybe we'll start talking about it. Who knows? So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that follow. Make sure you guys follow us on Spotify and YouTube and on TikTok too. We are on TikTok. So that being said, Cam dropped off.
She said I'm out.
She's like nostrils. Nope.
Nah.
All right, we're gonna get this going. We have a topic that Mrs. Reeps brought up that I think it's a very good one to talk about because honestly, it's getting a little ridiculous, right? A little ridiculous. Pineapple on pizza, Bobby, you stop it. The topic is tipping culture,
Oh.
right? So I know you guys have all seen the videos out there with people talking about, oh, they didn't tip me, or oh, they should tip me. So I guess the question becomes, when does a tip become an expectation versus something earned? You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
from my understanding, you earn your tips. You don't
Yes.
expect that tip. It's not something that you're just guaranteed. You earn that tip.
And what does
do
it
you
mean
agree?
to like earn it? You know what I'm saying? So like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
you have waitresses. No, hold on. Let me get there. Give me a minute.
Oh, let's
You have
go.
you have waitresses who they get paid what? Anywhere from like $3 to $4 an hour
Mhm.
It's lower where I used to work.
or even lower, right? So they
3.13.
work for tips, but they're earning it because they're serving your table. They're refilling your drinks, so it makes sense when it comes to wait staff that you have to tip
Agreed.
I
because
I
they're
have
earning
a lot
it.
of I have a lot of ammunition on that, so I'm gonna let everybody else go.
Oh boy.
In my opinion, with wait staff, it says like I like to tip. I don't like leaving without a tip. Like, I'm always gonna tip somebody. It's just the amount that I tip depends on
The service.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like if I don't ever have to like look around for you or wonder where you're at, you're coming by checking on me at a decent time intervals. Like I understand. I fucking worked food industry for too long.
Too long.
So it's like I understand, if we're busy, you're not gonna have time to check on everybody. You might forget. Like I'm a very reasonable person. Like I understand, but it's just like if I've had some times like I get back talked. It's like why? It's just like I don't know. It just depends on the experience, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like if the food is messed up, it's not their fault.
As long as they do the right thing, right? And they
Agreed.
address it.
Yes.
They
As long as they
address
treat me
it.
like a
So-
human.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another big thing, right? That people don't understand, right? So when it comes to the food preparation, that's not something that we can necessarily judge our server on.
Right.
That's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is take care of our needs. So if that food comes out and it doesn't meet our expectation, and then we say, hey, listen, normally I wouldn't do this, or hey, look, this is overcooked or undercooked, whatever the case may be. If they immediately jump to the call of your need, that's when I say this server is earning their tip.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, oh, this food came out bad, now you're not getting your tip, because that's not their fault. That's the cook's fault, right?
Right.
So that's the way I look at it too.
Yep.
Now,
I think the
Yeah.
digital
Sea-Dog.
age, the digital age has changed tipping
Oh, God, yeah.
I
worldwide.
agree. Yeah, that's
So
Mm-hmm.
like, because now it's force fed on everything you buy. Like you'll go to like the most
Dunkin'
random
Donuts.
things that don't deserve a tip, Like I've seen now where people are paying with their card through a drive-through, and then they're spinning the thing around to give them a tip for the
Yeah.
drive-through. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yo, no, ain't no freaking way.
Or it's like when you go to there's a place that I go to that has these kiosks that you can order at, right? You order at the kiosk and it's like, oh, enter your tip amount. Who?
To
For who?
who?
Get
Am I
out.
tipping myself? Like
Tipping
no one
yourself?
took my order. I serviced myself.
I'm tipping the software company at that point. Like,
Ew.
why?
Pretty flexible
yeah,
over
no.
there.
Dad,
Hey
Dad services
yo,
himself too.
hey yo.
All
No, but
right.
I agree. I have seen where like with me and my kids, right, we go to these little things for them where there's like, play areas and stuff where you have to pay like 20 bucks or whatever to get in. And then when they have like, what amount do you want to tip? I'm like, for what?
For what?
Like,
Are they
I
getting paid
literally,
minimum wage?
well, I don't know. I would assume so. But
Right.
regardless of the fact, you're getting paid an hourly wage that I'm sure should
Mhm.
be the minimum wage. Besides, servers and things like that,
Right.
anything outside of servers and bartenders should be getting paid a normal minimum wage.
hmm
So for me to go there to spend $20 for each of my children to go in to play to a play area, right? What would be the need for me to tip? Obviously, the cleanliness is one thing, right? I get that, but
Part of
I'm
their
sure
job.
you're getting paid
Mhm.
to do that.
Yep.
Or it might not even be their job. Maybe there's somebody who comes in at the end of the day, does all the cleaning up. They don't actually do it. I don't know that. But I don't think that that's one of those instances where they have where they need to be tipped.
Let me ask you guys this: how do you feel about hotels when
I
you
would
check out
Oh.
I'm
or
not
on a
even allowed
nightly
to. I'm
basis?
not allowed to fucking get one. So
Damn right, little reach.
So I will tell you, like for me, I didn't even think about it until I was a housekeeper. They get
Mhm.
paid at minimum wage, yes. But if you are detailed and keeping that room clean
Mhm.
and they keep up with everything, you don't even have to ask for more, coffee and stuff like that while your entire stay there. Um, I tip. I tip now because I understand what it is to do what they do.
And
So,
Miss Reeves, just to actually just piggyback on that real quick. As you all know, I go on a lot of cruises, right? And in the
hmm
cruise industry, a lot of a lot of the staff, a lot of the bartenders, everybody there that they get paid probably like below
Whatever.
minimum wage or whatever, right? Um, and at first I was like, why do I need to tip? I'm already spending like this much money on a cruise, whatever. But then as time went on, I'm getting like exemplary service,
Yeah.
just like I'm treated like a king, right?
Yeah.
But as time went on, and like I used to take tips out because at the end of the cruise they would actually charge your card automatically for like like on the daily rate for tips and stuff, and I used to take it out, right?
Wow.
um and then like it wasn't until like I talked to an actual like server, like one of the dinner that I went in, and he was talking about, and he actually came from the Philippines, that's why we got along. And he's telling me like, oh yeah, I send money to the Philippines, blah blah blah. But like aside of like my personal problems, it's also like the tip culture within like the cruise industry. It's all shared.
Ooh,
So at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter like if you gave like a shitty service or if you gave like like
a good
excellent
service.
service, you're gonna get the same amount of tips, right? Unless you get like a direct handoff from somebody, right? So with that, especially housekeeping, right? Because I'm a very messy person. So like every time I step out and then go get back in my room, my cabin is clean, right? Spotless. So like after that talk with them, I was just like, damn. Like I felt really shitty about it, right? Because it's like what, like 30, $40 for like a 5 day cruise. It's like if you think about it, that's like, a night out,
That's nothing.
right? Right. So like, and then but for them, it's like if I just hand it to them like directly, that's gonna like make their whole like like make their whole week, right?
Yep.
So like if I just kind of like turn that switch and be like, yeah, this is gonna be like a lot of help for them, and they're very appreciative about it. Um, but yeah, so I guess it's like maturity with it, but I also don't want it to be kind of like shoved down my throat, kind of
Mhm.
Right.
like
yeah,
I don't want to be
Right.
like obligated to tip, and like
You don't want to
what
I
feel
Reeves.
always feel so guilty.
forced. Yeah.
I feel
Exactly,
so
right.
guilty.
Like
like this
right,
person's judging the hell out of me because I'm hitting notes right
right.
now.
And
Like,
that's another thing that sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Sea Dog, but that's another
no, no, you're
thing
good.
is when it comes to like the things that are proposed to you that make you feel like a dirt bag when you say no. Like that's another thing that bothers me. Like the other day I went to Taco Bell, right? And I ordered my food and then it came out to like something dollars and 90 cents. And they said, "Would you like to round up the remaining 10 cents so that it can go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital?" So I was like, "Sure, it's 10 cents." But it's like I don't think that that's something that should be included in your purchase for fast food. You know what I mean? Like I get it, like the McDonald's charity, that whole thing is already there, and like the house charity is included in there, whatever it is. But I feel like instead of us doing that direct donation, we're buying the food. Why doesn't the corporation just set out a side of budget and then just send that to the charity? You know what I mean? Like you guys are
it's a
already
big
making all
flex.
this
It's
money
a
on us.
PR move too. Like, hey,
Yeah.
every food item we sell, we'll give 10 cents to like whatever. Like
Uh-huh.
that's a way for them to flex that as well. Like that's a
I
PR
bet
move
they
in my
get a
opinion. Like
lot more donations doing it that way because a lot of people are like, yeah, sure, versus like pulling out money to put in a box if you don't have it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it's
can imagine.
exactly
I don't always like it because it's like everywhere you go now. Oh, are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna,
But what I'm saying,
especially Christmas time?
yeah, and so
Dude,
what I'm saying is
get at
I'm not
Walmart.
opposed to that, right? So what I'm opposed to is that the corporations are taking it separately from their earnings. So like
Hmm.
Taco Bell is
Mhm.
already getting paid for the food and
Right.
the work that they're getting, right? So they're making their profit line. Instead of taking it from that profit line to donate it to the charity, they're
Mhm.
having it where we take the additional 10 cents and give it to them so they can
Oh, I
add it
got
to
what you're
their
Yeah.
saying.
So
charitable
they get the
contribution.
benefits of like the tax
Gotcha.
write-offs with like the consumer's dollar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one thing that I personally don't like. I'll still do it because 10 cents is 10 cents, 90 cents is 90 cents. It's
Hmm.
not that big of a deal to me. But it's one of those things that leave a sour taste in my mouth because if you say no, right? You're basically saying I don't give a damn about those kids that got cancer. And come on.
Yeah.
Like who
Right.
really wants to be known for saying that, right? Nobody clip that and try to edit that, all right? I do care about kids with cancer.
It's kind of like going to
But
Petco or PetSmart, like buying like those pet foods. Like, would you like to donate a dollar to save a cat or
yeah.
to save a dog? And I'm just like,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
oh man, I want
Mhm.
all the dogs saved. I want all the cats saved.
How many dollars is that?
How many cats am I saving with this?
Yes, I want a picture sent to me directly.
I want to name the cat, all right?
Matter of
Oh
fact,
my
let me
God.
have the cat. It's my cat now.
Right, exactly. It's like if I'm donating for it and I'm saving the
Yeah.
cat for $1, why can't you just sell me the cat for a
Yeah,
dollar?
just
You
let
got
me
them over
adopt
there
it.
for
Yeah.
300.
Just let me adopt it.
I sponsored a
Right.
shark and a sea turtle.
My daughter
Nice.
too. When we went to the
Yep.
aquarium, we
those are
sponsored a shark for
scams. You know
her.
that, right? Those are scams.
I know.
Like say
Listen.
one thing like, "Hey, I bought you a star." Like the fuck you did. You did not. You paid somebody for a coordinate on a piece of paper. And they probably everyone has the same one printed off. It's just like 47 people have the same star coordinate.
Right.
What's like
Imagine you
the
get two at
shark
the same
tracker
time.
shit?
Yeah, that's what I was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's your shark
Yeah.
doing right
Imagine
now?
like you get two of the star coordinates, and then you end up having it the same exact coordinates on both certificates. And you're sitting there like, what the hell, dude? It's like this is the same exact star. What are you doing? Oh man, but yeah, no, that's my take on like that part of it. Like, I feel like that charitable contribution isn't so much a charitable contribution from the corporation anymore. We should get that tax write off, not the corporation. We
Mhm.
should. If we make that additional,
Donation.
90 cents or whatever it is, we should get that.
Hmm.
Agreed.
But that's my 2 cents. Um, Sea Dog,
Yes.
you said you have a hot take on this. Is that what you were referring to with the cruise?
Yeah, but without mentioning, yeah, I'm just gonna like cut to the chase, right? Like back to the whole like wait staff, being waitress, waiter, whatever. The whole without mentioning the whole like find another job. If you're if this isn't working out for you, I feel like because I too have worked in the food and service industry, right? Um, it has to be like above and beyond for me to like tip like more than the standard, because I do tip, like first and foremost, right? Because I
Yeah,
do
no, let's
tip,
go.
but there's I just can't justify like having to tip more than whatever, like 20-25% if the service isn't like because I feel like you shouldn't get incentivized for something that you should already be doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna leave it on that. And like people can take it out of context or take it with a grain of salt, but
Look, if
that's
I'm
really how I
driving
feel
up to
about
the
it.
drive-through with coffee, that's my. I hate tipping there. I don't do it. I don't do it because they get paid more than minimum wage, and they pour coffee and they stand at the window. It's not a waitress. You're pouring a cup of coffee or toasting a bagel like that. You're getting paid to do that. It's not like you're
Hmm.
providing an extra service. I don't know. That's kind of
Yeah,
how
I
Now,
I
used
see
to I
it.
used to
Yeah.
serve and cook on the same fucking shift and not get any
Yeah.
tips.
so
Yeah.
I
Well,
got a
people,
question.
because people are rude when it comes to tipping in the
Yeah. So
restaurants.
and this is what I want to know. What do you guys think about this? Obviously, when it comes to restaurants and larger parties, they include the gratuity most of the times, right? Because they don't want it to be where you have a party of like 20 people and then you tip $20, right? So I mean, don't get me wrong. I get the reasoning behind it, but how do we feel about it? Like, do we feel like that
Mm,
mandatory 18% or 20% gratuity is
I
right?
hate that. No, I hate it.
Mm-mm. Nope.
And a lot of places are doing 20%. And I'm sorry, but that's an excellent service to me.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
15 is acceptable, 20 is excellent. Now you're going to automatically tell me I have to tip you that. And they don't care if they're already getting a tip. You know what I mean? They're just going to come and go as they please.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it when there's like when you go to a certain restaurant and they have like an automatic surcharge if you have like a certain amount of like people in your party, like six or more people, you get there's like an automatic like 18% surcharge for the table, right? Because the server understandably is serving six people, right? So I guess to that aspect, like okay, you get your 18%, you get 20%, whatever. But like beyond that, like I said, it would have to be like a pretty good damn service, right? So,
Right.
Sorry, guys.
Everyone's
I
just
was
talking
just
trash on the chat right now. I love it.
I know.
yeah.
Why is everyone talking
um,
in there? Talk
so
here.
Someone's getting an
here's one
echo.
thing that I want to. So actually, this is a new feature that I want to try out real quick, and also want to bring this up because Blackfire did say this in the chat on the live stream chat for the podcast. So we're gonna see if this works because I've never seen this feature. I want to see if it works. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Yo,
tips to
that's
me
dope.
depends on
So
whole
she
well
says tips
service.
to me depends on whole well services, or how well service is, and how respectful the server is, right? She says she's had rude servers before and it ruins the mood. And I agree wholeheartedly, Blackfire. That is really what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, their job is to make our experience the best experience possible. So
Right.
if you're not doing that, then you're not earning your tip.
Right.
And there should not be an expectation for that tip. And I'll give you guys a personal story. I on my 22nd or 23rd birthday, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I went there with a few of my friends. And when I say a few, I'd say it was like 12 of us total, maybe. So it was literally enough for them to say, "Hey, gratuity, make sure you take care of the gratuity." But they didn't have the included gratuity in here, right? So I'm there and I'm, enjoying my meal. But we don't have a great server. And when I say we don't have a great server, I mean they're not very attentive to us. Like, we are obviously a larger party, so we have a lot of things going on. But I would hope that they would pay attention to the party and assist us with what we need. So one thing that happened, right? And this is like the first strike, I wasn't gonna hold it against him. I was needing water, and I mentioned to him, "Hey, can you get me a bottle of water, or can you get me a glass of water?" He goes, "Yeah, no problem." Disappears. You know, food comes out. I start eating, and I'm like, "Man, I parched. I really need my water." And he hadn't shown up, and it's been 10 minutes. So he comes back around, without the water. And then I'm just like, hey, I had asked you for a water. Can you grab that for me? He goes, oh yeah, no problem. So he goes and grabs the water, right? So I was like, okay, no problem. You know what? Got a lot going on. I understand. Then the appetizers we got through, the entrees came out, and two of the entrees were incorrect. And so I had mentioned it to him, hey, they actually ordered a different side. Can you get the other side for them? And then that other person had actually ordered it cooked differently. And so then he was like, oh yeah, no problem. Disappears. 15 minutes go by. Again, no response, nothing. He shows up again asking, hey, how everything is going. And then I'm just like, well, I told you that we had issues with their plate and their plate. And he goes, oh yeah, yeah, okay, let me go check on it. And then he goes to check on it. Again, another 10 minutes go by and nothing. I'm like, okay. Comes back. Can I get you guys anything more to drink? This one, the third doesn't mention anything again. And I'm just like, hey, we still haven't gotten their food fixed, and we're almost done with our entrees. And so he's just like, oh, okay, let me go find out if I can get that for you, and disappears again. So by this time, everybody else has finished eating. Basically, my two friends, one of them hasn't eaten anything at all because his his food was cooked incorrectly. The other one has eaten everything but the side that he was supposed to get. And so when it came time to pay the check, they gave us the check, and I start putting everything in. And I tipped, right. I didn't tip 20%.
Right.
I tipped 10
Hmm.
percent. And then the manager and the server came up to me and said, hey, I'm not understanding why you only tip 10%. And I was like, excuse me?
Asked you that.
It straight up asked me that. And I was like,
That's
excuse
wild.
me? And then he was just like,
Wow.
well, yeah, it's customary that when there's a larger party, you tip at least 15, 18, 20%. And so I was just like, well,
Customary.
it it's a, it's definitely something that we would do if we were given the proper service, right? And I explained to him my issues, and the server was sitting there going, "Oh no, I did everything." Da, 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 da. And I was just like, "No, you didn't." And I'm not the only one that'll tell you that. My other two people that were waiting on their food, one of them who didn't even eat, will tell you the same thing. The
Yep.
food didn't come out. And so then they were just like, oh, well, still this, that, and the third, like you still should, they don't get paid that much, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I'm sorry to say, but that's not my problem.
Then they should have
I'm not,
done their job
I'm
better.
not the one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not the one that should be making sure that my needs are met. I can't go into the kitchen and get that myself. That's not something that I can do. That's something that you have to go do as a server. So I told him, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not tipping you more than that 10% that I gave you. And they were like, no problem, don't worry about it, just next time keep it in mind that the customary and the expectation is usually
Oh, no
15
way.
to 18% on a larger party. So I was like, don't worry, because next time I won't be coming here with a
Yeah,
larger
there
party.
wouldn't. Yeah, there wouldn't be next
Yeah.
time.
No.
Exactly. I was like, don't worry about it, I'm not going to come here
We'll
for a
come
larger
back
party
here.
next time. It's like if I want to have
So
a takeout order for myself, I'll come, but that's it,
yeah.
just because the wings are good. But I was
So
like, this is ridiculous.
That was
they
you said
expect you
Buffalo
to
Wild
tip
Wings,
no
right?
matter what.
Yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's wild.
Mhm.
I could never. If that, I luckily I've never had that experience, but I could get like, I avoid confrontation at all costs, and I quite frankly hate them. I would hate to have them in public, first of all, but if that ever happens, like I will put you in your place. Like, dude,
Yeah.
And
like I
I
got
did
time
so
today.
respectfully.
Like,
I did so respectfully because I was like, you know what, dude? Maybe you were having a bad day. I get that, no problem. But you still didn't earn your tip.
right,
Right.
You're getting paid based off of your
Your service.
your service. Yeah. So if you aren't providing me the service that I feel like I should be getting, I'm not going to give you the tip that's according to it. I'll give you the tip that you've earned. Point blank period. And you've earned at least a 10% tip because you did help us with getting our meals. But when it came to issues and stuff that we needed, you weren't there.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Plain and
I am
simple.
an avid like reviewer. You know, I got I got some Google reviews. I
Oh,
got some
Food
Sea
Yelp
Dog's
review.
one of
reviews out
those
Oh.
there.
guys. There you go. There
Baby,
But
you're muted.
we go.
I've just been like, like I've done it for companies where it actually like actually encourage a response from them, because it's the kind of review that, it's not like, like a nitpicky consumer. It's not just like, an isolated experience. Like, I make sure that I cover all my tracks to make sure that the service that I
Yeah.
was provided was shitty. And
Mm-hmm.
like, for the how many reviews that I've done, I've always gotten a response from the company. They've always like rectified the situation. And I kind of like take pride on that, because I was like, I'm pretty well spoken, and I have a lot of patience for, like, again, service industry and stuff. Like, I know how it is. So like, when I actually, like, voice it out, I feel like I'm within reason, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what we're hearing is that Sea Dog has a plaque in his room somewhere that says that he's had over 1,000 reviews on Yelp at some place.
Yeah, I mean, my Google profile has some sort of like a badge saying, so, like,
Way to be a reviewer.
exactly.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it. Oh my god.
I like to use
Okay.
weaponized tipping. Like I'll call it weaponized tipping. Like
What the
there's a
hell?
strategy for me. Like there's certain scenarios, like when I go into a bar and it's kind of busy, I will tip a monster tip on the very first drink I buy to make sure every time I come up and I'm standing at that busy bar, they're gonna pick me out of the crowd. Or like I've got the best advice from my older brother. He's like, when you go to an all inclusive resort, they're not supposed to take tips from you. It's supposed to be like no money. But
Don't
they're not going to
listen
say
to
no
that.
to you, right? So like you pick your favorite little bar spot, and like the people that are taking care of your hotel room, and you tip them like hand to hand cash. Like here's $20. We did that for one of the bartenders. I won't name the resort so they don't get in trouble, but
It happens everywhere.
because they're not supposed to
Uh-huh.
accept any of that. They're not supposed to accept it because they get to live
Mhm.
on site. So it's like one of the big things, big no no. But if you do it, that was the best
take
service
care.
I've ever gotten. Was the people that I tipped right at the beginning, they took care of us the whole time. So
It would be a busy bar. We'd be going to walk by, and he'd be like, "Dog,
there, come over here, come over
come
here real quick.
here."
Hmm. And that's why I leave my barbers a big tip too, because
Mm.
they obviously I'm coming to get my hair cut on a regular basis.
Oh, me
Like I
too.
go every 2 weeks at least, right?
Fucking
And
my
I
barber's
always make
sick.
sure that when I leave the barber, I give them that, like, when it comes to expectations from a barber, right? They expect a tip, of course, because they're providing you the service of cutting your hair. But I know that they don't really get a lot of tips often, and then on top of that,
Mhm.
they still have to pay for the rental of their chair on top of what they have incoming,
Yeah.
right? So I like to make sure that I pay it forward to them. And there've been other times where I've like given them like double what my haircut costs, and I'm like, hey, just, you know what, take what you want and then apply it to the next person. If I see that there's somebody waiting to get a haircut, like an older guy, or if there's a young kid, I'm like, hey, take what you need and then just apply whatever else to their haircut, and then I leave it as is. But I never will not tip my barber. But that's one of those services that I feel like is like nobody will not tip their barber. It's just expected. Um, but when it comes to like anything else, I just I can't like rationalize it in my head. You know what I mean?
Dude, I won't go get a haircut if I don't have money to tip my barber.
I
Facts.
feel that. Yep. I feel like
Facts.
it's kind of
Yep.
like embarrassing to almost do that,
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
to go.
Would
I mean,
you tip a masseuse?
100%.
I don't know.
Like, oh
so
my god.
Like just the tip, or what are we talking?
so
No.
I will definitely give them a tip. But no, I mean,
Not a
I've
cash one.
only gotten like no, I mean,
Cash only.
Hey yo, yeah.
Hey.
No, I've only ever gotten a massage like once at a place that, wasn't somebody that I know that was giving me the massage. You know what I mean? Like a wife, a girlfriend. They like I've gotten massages from people who I've had a relationship with, where it wasn't like, hey, I should tip this person. But I went to a spa with Mimi one time, right? And it was like a couples thing, and we got a massage. And one of the first things that I told the lady was like, please don't touch my feet. I said, please don't
That
touch
was
my
you,
I'm
Doug.
ticklish. I was like, I am terribly ticklish. Please don't touch my feet. And then of course what happens? She fucking touched my feet. I was
Oh,
like, oh,
no.
That's
I almost
it.
when I tell you I almost kicked this woman in the face by accident, not on purpose, by accident. I literally swung my foot up. It was just a reflex. I couldn't control it. It swung up so quick. I pulled it back in time where like I shit you not, heel to chin was like this far. I pulled it back. So I was like, oh, I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I was like, but I told you, please don't touch my feet. And so I told Mimi, I was just like, if you want to tip, tip. I'm not. I that's the one thing that I told her not to do, and then she did it. So
She did just the.
Well,
I'm
again,
sorry.
you know, you were very specific and you didn't get that was ignored.
Mhm.
So I can see that.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that
you're
was
not
the
going
only
to tip
time.
for terrible service. You tip because it's
Yeah.
exceptional.
hmm
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know where
which
this
is
whole
like,
like tipping thing came from. I know in Europe, like I always heard that like tipping is not even a thing over there,
No.
or barely.
Yeah.
it isn't.
Korea, it's like an insult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some places,
Like,
yeah.
they
I
take
feel
so
like it
much
would be
pride
almost.
in their
Yeah.
like product that they're producing that they feel like they are accurately pricing their product, right? So if you tip them, then you're kind of like shoving it in their face a little bit. So
Trying to be
Yeah.
showy.
learned that like the very first time I went out in Korea was don't tip.
Don't tip.
hmm Yeah,
Mhm.
and
We are a
at my
very tip
job,
happy culture. Like it's
eh,
too much. It's gotten out of
it's
control.
crazy. Like at my job, right? So I sell cars for a living, right? I don't expect tips. I don't ask for tips. I tell my customers all the time, no, whenever they try to tip me. But for whatever reason, they literally, I've had my customer literally stop and tell me, look, I know that the business makes more money than they pay you. I know that you're getting a commission off of this sale, but I feel like you've done such an exemplary job that you've earned more. And so at that point, I was like,
Okay.
okay. I was like, okay, I can't argue that because at the end of the day, I know that when I help my customers, I give them the best service possible. And I've had multiple people tell me and Google reviews to show that their experience was like no other when they bought a car from me because I make sure that I'm not the typical salesman. Like when you go to a dealership, I can tell you right now, I guarantee you 3 out of the 4 of you at least will say you dreaded it. Going into the dealership, you're just like, no, I
Yep.
hate doing this part. I
I
hate it
do. I
because
hate
I
it.
know that I'm gonna. Yep, it's like I'm
I
gonna have
hate
to
it.
do all this nonsense just to get a good deal,
And they
just to
don't
get a
listen.
car.
And they don't listen to what we
Exactly.
wanted. They brought around a brand
Exactly.
new car, so this is not even close to what I asked for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And on
So,
that too, right? Cito,
yep.
I do feel like commission based or like performance based compensation is a huge thing. That's what I would tell like any
Hmm.
like teenagers or like recent grad recent grads, like if you want to just like you know be average, live like I guess like I don't know, like just an
Comfortable.
average, yeah,
Yeah.
comfortable. Then find a salary job, but like if you really want to get paid for like the work that you do, if you're a hard worker, like work ethic is your thing. I do feel like commission based jobs are like it's really gonna highlight your skills. And
Yep.
and Cito said it best. If you provide a good service, the customers are usually gonna like replicate that back to you. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. 'Cause
Or bring
I'm
you more business.
exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just about
Mm-hmm.
to say, I'm a realtor, and people say like,
Word of
thanks for
mouth.
helping us out. And this is like, as buying a car, right? I mean, houses like it's a lifetime investment, right? So they put
Mm-hmm.
a lot of trust in you. So when I hear that from my clients, they say like, we were just going through we were gonna go to a foreclosure, but then you helped us save the house, or you helped us like because they were gonna come out with nothing, but then they came out with like more money like in their pockets. When I
Yeah.
hear those kind of stories, as like I don't want like the tip like like literal cash, but like I just tell them just tell everyone tell your
Tell your
people
friends.
exactly tell your
Mm-hmm.
friends.
This is
um
the dude.
right,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Like commission based performance is just something that I take a lot of pride on. I'm sure you do too, Cito. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very gratifying like having to see like the fruition of your work or your work
Yeah.
come into fruition, right? So
Mm-hmm.
My best friend Aiden, so he used to work HVAC. in North Carolina, and he would tell me all these stories about like, whenever he's doing his job or whatever, he so whenever he's doing a job, I guess to a point where he's going around so much where people are starting to know who he is, because there was only two maintenance techs at the company that he was working at. So whenever he had to go out for maintenance, 9 times out of 10 they'd send him rather than the other guy. But he would tell me all these things about like how sometimes, like if he went to this one lady's place, she would offer him like home baked, like fresh baked cookies for whenever he's done. Um, some guy offered like he's like, hey, you wanna what did he give him? It was like, he's like a big fan of Dragon Ball, and this guy had like a collector's edition version, like some poster of Goku. And the guy's like, hey, I'm not really into Dragon Ball no more. Do you want it? And my best friend was like, fucking yeah, I do. So it's like, and there's like, there'll be people calling his company asking for him because he does a good job and he does it quick, and it's like people will give him cash tips or whatever. Like he used to come home and tell me all these different stories. It was pretty fun, pretty cool.
Mm.
Just
And
Yeah.
he's
being
friendly.
nice.
That helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
He's
yeah, I
super
was
nice.
gonna-
Super
yeah.
nice guy.
Personality probably definitely plays a role.
Oh
there,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
That brings up another thing that I've seen recently. It isn't necessarily tipping, but it's kind of like tipping. So me and Mimi, I think I've said this before. We are Amazon holics. Like we order everything
my
on
mom.
Amazon. Like we get even toilet paper we'll get on Amazon if we
Okay.
can, because we just don't need to go to the store. Fine. We're not paying an additional. Fine. We have Amazon Prime and we use the shit out of that shit. So when it comes to like the
I didn't even
days that
buy
are like
toilet paper on
extremely
Amazon.
hot, yeah. So when the days are like extremely hot, like I've seen people who say that they put out water, juices, snacks for the drivers, right?
Love that.
I think that is a great concept because you're rewarding them because you know that you're not taking it upon yourself to go and do that, right? Because I could go to the grocery store and pick up some water. I could go to the grocery store and pick up some, toilet paper, but I'm not. I'm ordering it on Amazon, and these people are driving and bringing it to my door. So just like on DoorDash, just like on Instacart, I tip always because I know that it is convenient for me. It is a convenience for me to do that. So I told Mimi, listen, whenever we, those hot days, just put something out there for them. Just put a little note so that they know, hey, grab something. This is for you. This isn't just chilling on our doors, on our stoop. It's just for you, because they're giving us that service, right? So it's not necessarily a tip, but it's looking out for them because I know that, being in that hot truck on those days for hours on end, trying to deliver packages for people that, like me, are just lazy as hell. it's like, dude, I appreciate you, right? I appreciate it. And it also is because, my friend was actually an Amazon driver on route in our house too. So I would just look out for him. But that's one of those things that I've seen. And I'm just like, I appreciate when people do that because you're being considered to the fact that you could be doing this yourself, but you have them doing it for you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
looking out for those people that are looking out for you is a big thing.
Especially
100%.
like Uber Eats or anything like that. I can't stand people who don't tip.
It
Mhm.
used
Oh,
to happen to me
yeah.
all the time. When I used to dash,
It's like you are not having to leave your house because this person is going to pick up your food from the
But-
restaurant and bring it to you.
I would go
Mhm.
dashing because I would work
Crazy.
and then I would go dash. So it'd probably be like late at night. So maybe like I'd go out at like 8 o'clock and I'd go back home at like 2 a.m. During those times, I think the most I've ever gotten from that in tips wise in one night was probably like $60. But that's because
That's terrible.
I dashed like almost 20 orders for different things. And I want to say, obviously, the lowest tip I've had is just a complete zero. And and when we're
It's
dashing,
shameful.
when you dash,
Yeah, we're all
and
shaking
an
our
order
heads for those.
and an
against.
order pops up, it tells you like, oh hey, this is your estimated earning off of this order for this dash. And it'll like if I see like 250, I know they didn't tip because $2.50 is the base pay from DoorDash that you get
Yeah.
for taking an order. Which is like, I would still do it because it's $2.50 more than what I had 5 seconds ago, you know? So it's like, and I just wanted to have as much money as I could.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I like dashing because I would go out with my friends, you know, we'd go out, listen to music, have a fun time, and do whatever. But like, yeah, so it's like I've had a lot of times where I just don't get tipped at all on DoorDash, especially late at night, which is like shitty.
That
And
is
I
so
used,
wild to me.
Yeah,
And I
it's
used to
very
DoorDash
discouraging.
in
Like,
my truck. It's a 20-year-old Dodge. The
Just
gas,
you're losing money in gas. to
yeah,
do
the
all
gas
Yeah.
mileage is terrible.
Yep.
But it's like, I got to a point where I had to do dashing for a job because I was in between jobs, so I was like I was doing dashing pretty much full time.
Mm-hmm.
I was losing money more than I was making it because of all the
truck.
gas. Because
Yeah.
that truck was terrible on gas, and
It
it
was
was
kind of
like,
like this kind of brings me to like a little offshoot when it comes to ordering food nowadays. Like, do you remember when you would call Domino's and a Domino's driver would bring your food, or you would
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
Yeah.
a restaurant and that restaurant would send a driver, and now everything's through DoorDash or Uber Eats. Like,
Yep.
So if you like, I'll call Domino's to get pizza delivered, and then the Dash would be like, "Oh, I can't get on base," and I was like, "Well, who are
Domino's
you?"
is the only Domino's is the
I
only
called
one
the
that
pizza
actually
place.
has drivers. It's freaking Papa whoever.
Papa
Oh,
John's.
I'm just saying that, like, when did that happen? When did that change to where like a restaurant didn't
Yeah.
provide their own drivers anymore? Now it's just like
when they
everyone's
saw
fighting
that
over
it was cost effective to them, when they
Yes.
saw that they no longer had to have a driver on payroll.
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yep.
they did was they upped their prices so that the convenience fee that they were getting charged from DoorDash was covered under their new
Yep.
menu prices. They were fine because they're not
Yep.
taking on that expense. And then it's everybody's cost as opposed to their own. Again, corporations looking out for their bottom line. So
Yeah.
I agree with
Dude.
you though, because I used to work at Domino's when I think it was 16, and we had 4 drivers at
Yeah,
a time
At
that I
least.
would just bang out the pizzas and then throw them aside, let them know, hey, this one's ready, and they would take it and go, right? And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But now with DoorDash and Instacart and all these other services, Uber Eats and such, it's obsolete. The job itself is almost a waste for these companies because they have that option to just, hey, sign up with DoorDash. They charge you 13% on each order. No problem. Let me up my prices by 14%. I make 1% more and then call it a day.
Which is so crazy to the employee, because here we didn't realize what we were doing, right? Not only eliminating jobs, but you used to make more money because you would make minimum wage and then you would make all of your tips. DoorDash, or they give you very little.
Yes.
They give you
I
very
will
little.
tip a DoorDasher a very like generous amount if they like if they're very communicative like with me. You
Right.
can talk through the app. So you can be like, hey, you know, I'm at the restaurant or wherever I'm at, you know, picking up your shit. It's busy, you know. I'll let you know when I'm headed your way or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that's
I
what
just
I
like-
tried to do when I was a
I don't-
dasher. It's like,
Call me old school. I'm over this already. Like, DoorDash was cool when
Oh,
it
yeah.
first came out, but now I don't like paying double the price for soggy food. Like,
For real.
That is
I'll
true.
just
I
go get
had-
it my fucking self.
there's one experience that I had, and this lady got super mad at me, right? Because it was like, she's like, oh, you costing me my job. So I was living in my old apartment in North Carolina. It's like I moved out of my parents' house. I was with all my friends. I ordered from McDonald's. Me and my buddy Zaven, we were getting McDonald's late at night, you know, and the McDonald's was like 10 minutes away from our apartment. And it was like 1 a.m. But the lady, you know, when you dash, obviously it has a GPS, so you can see where to go. She went to the other side of the county because what I'm guessing is she chose for her dash, instead of dash per order, like earn per order with like your tips and stuff, she probably did earn per hour. So like with earn per hour, you have to drive. Like it'll track how much time you're driving. So until you drive around for an actual hour, like with an order, you won't get your $15 because it's $15 an hour, which is nice. But it's like, you know, you got to do a lot of dashing.
Yeah.
So she drove on the other side of the county, came all the way back around, and it was just like, you know, I was texting her. I was like, hey, where are you going? And she's like, oh, I got to go do something real quick.
Oh no.
Do what? You
With
have
your
my
food?
My food, I had a vanilla shake, by the way. I had a milkshake. I was like, by the
You
time, and
DoorDash the
I got,
milkshake?
yeah, I got. Well, I wasn't expecting her to go on the other side of the county, so it was like, it came back and it was just milk with a little
Oh
bit of
my
whipped cream on
God.
top.
No
My
shake
fucking
anymore.
all of my no shake. Even if I try to shake it, no shake. All my food was like frozen solid, not frozen solid literally, but you know what I mean. It was cold as
Mhm.
shit. Um, all my buddy's food was cold, and it was like so I reported it to DoorDash, and I got all the pictures too because I was like, I just spent like it was like what $40. Like, DoorDash is expensive, dude.
Ridiculous.
So it's like I
Insane.
took pictures of it because I'm like I want to get my fucking money back, like this is
Yeah.
bullshit. Like, and the lady ends up texting me, was like, "Oh yeah, I got suspended off of DoorDash. It's all your fault." I was just
Or
like,
is it yours because you drove
it's
out
like,
of the
hey,
county with a milkshake?
I've been like, good. I would have
Yeah.
You
suspended
probably,
you
yeah, you
I did
probably
that right
I'm
off
should
the
be
sparing
good.
bat.
everybody else.
I was
And
like, I
Miriam
was
had a
just,
good question in the
too.
chat. Like,
Yes,
what about
let's.
when you Uber or Lyft? What are your expectations of giving them a tip?
Yes.
So
Let's talk about that.
okay, can I start this one because
Go ahead. Good.
I feel like I had this experience when I went to Orlando. So before me and my wife moved to Florida, we actually took a trip down there for one of her birthdays, and we had the lift everywhere. I wasn't gonna rent a car. I was like, we'll just walk or take a lift. So I downloaded the app, and they had coupons and all that good stuff because I first downloaded the app to use it, and with the coupons that I was using, I would just offset it by tipping my driver, right? Just, hey, look, I saved 30%. I'm gonna give you an extra $7, whatever it is, right? So do I feel like they earned it by just driving somewhere? Hard to say. If I get in the car and you start telling me, hey, do you want the music on or off? Hey, do you want a bottle of water? I have some back there. Hey, are you guys hungry? I know you just got off the airport. Out the airport, I know that they don't usually, have snacks out in the entry. So if you want, there's snacks there. That's when I feel like absolutely, there's no question. I'm about to tip this guy.
100%.
But if
Like,
it's
But
it's like you
just the
paying for the
driver,
experience. Like, if we just go
I
point
don't
A and
know.
point B and there's no conversation and it's like I'm just a burden to you. Yeah, okay, I'm paying my normal
My
amount. But
fare.
if
dude,
I
my
What
if I
do
lift,
get
they
in
get?
and it's like the
What do
best
they
Uber I've
get
had, like
though?
they
it's
get
good.
whatever, like what you paid for the lift is they get most of that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say most.
Yeah, I
They
was gonna
get
say,
probably like 46%, and I could
yeah.
vouch to this
It's
because
terrible.
I was a Lyft and Uber driver, and actually, and on this, if I could just go on my soapbox here,
Mhm.
I'm a silent driver when I used to do rideshare, um, but I've had passengers where they appreciate a little
The
bit more
silence.
yeah, that but also where I was going with that is like the sense of urgency, I guess. I live in Chicago and I did a lot of my driving in the city, going back and forth, especially to the airport and stuff. So a lot of them appreciate a sense of like having to change lanes or like going to like a faster lane, right? um so to that aspect, they would tip me, right? But then there's also those that would like, oh, this guy was like going past the speed limit or like driving very dangerously or whatever, right? um and again, it's hard for me to kind of like get an idea of like how a certain passenger would kind of like want me to drive, I guess, without having that open communication. But then again, I'm a silent driver. I don't really want to bother you. If you want to make a conversation,
You
so
will.
be it. But I just kind of like drive to get you there as fast as I could, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
following local laws, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Speed
Sea
limits.
dog following the law. Psych.
but yeah, obviously, the bare minimum, getting them there safely is always a priority, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
being having a clean car, having like a pleasant smell, you can't have because there's a lot of passengers that get in and out of that car, so
Mhm.
and especially like summers here in Chicago, and like certain parts of Chicago as well, like certain smell of like an herb of a plant something like that. You
Ah.
can't have everybody like spelling that. So I have like
Mhm.
an air freshener, and I always keep the car detailed and clean. But but I'll tip an Uber if they're cleaning my vomit up. I actually had to do that a couple of times, but luckily the passengers cleaned it up for me, and didn't have to clean it myself. But yeah, that was
Ugh.
my soapbox. I'm a very silent driver. I'll talk if you talk. I don't mind it if you don't mind it. But
My my experience with Lyft since I've been in Orlando has so I've only gotten two, right? Obviously, to the airport and from the airport when I was going to go see my family in my parents in April for my spring break. Both of them spoke very broken English. They're super cool guys. Like, I had, no issues. It was just, it was hard to understand what either one of them was saying. And it was like one of them was talking on the phone the entire time, and he had it
oh
like
no,
Bluetooth,
No.
like through his like Bluetooth on his phone.
Oh no.
So it was
no
like going
way.
through the car, and I'm just like in the back seat, like this is on my
This
way to
is
the
awkward.
airport. So it's like I'm just gonna put my headphones in so I don't eavesdrop on your conversation. I can't really understand it, but just like so fucking 45-minute car ride, and I just listened to this guy's phone call. I was like, I mean, the car it was clean, didn't stink. So I was like I said, I had no issues. It was just it was a little awkward. And then
Yeah,
the way back,
I don't think I would tip. I'm gonna be honest
Mm-mm.
with you on that one.
Mm-mm.
the way back, it was pretty much wasn't the same way. He wasn't on the phone, but it was just like he had like music kind of loud, but it was
Same guy.
different person.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
imagine.
like, how ironic.
The second guy
That'd
was a
be
lot nicer
horrible.
though. Like he pulled up to me in the airport and he's like, I went to like put my bag in the bag and he's like oh I got it. And he like
There you go.
puts it and he puts it in. He's like open the door for me. He's like go ahead and say. I was like oh my god. I was like am I important? I was like
Well, you're
I
paying,
feel like
for the
I feel like a
service.
VIP.
Mhm.
Like
I would be pissed if I got an Uber and the entire time I was listening to a conversation on their phone.
I would have.
Uh-huh.
I probably
I
would have
can't-
said something. I don't
dude,
think I could have been quiet about it.
I cannot stand in public anywhere. Like people that are walking around on speakerphone and that kind of. It's
I
like,
hate that.
dude, get out of your fucking bubble.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's other
This
people
world
around
is not
you.
your bubble. Like have some courtesy for the people around you. So if I
Right.
was locked in a car ride and the person was on the phone the whole time, I would be losing my shit in the back. I'm not even gonna lie.
You wouldn't say anything though. That's the problem. Is you
no,
should
no.
say
So
something.
he wouldn't say anything. He just sit in the back like this.
You just be
Uh-huh.
miserable about it.
And then,
I would
as
have a
soon as he gets out that
conversation
car,
myself.
forget it.
I'm like that guy. Have you seen the guy who like sits next to people that are on the phone and he acts like he's answering their questions, but he's like on his own phone? So he'll like sit next to someone and they're
Dude,
like, "What do
that's
you want to do
awesome.
for dinner tonight?" He's like, "I don't know. I was thinking we'll go out. What do you think about barbecue tonight?" And like when the person starts catching on, they like look at him funny,
Like,
and then
what
he'll like
the-
kind of look away on the phone talking, and every time they ask a question, he'll answer it right next to him. It's super funny.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's an effective strategy though. Like, yeah, because you're like, hey, you're involving me in this conversation by having it on speakerphone. So at this point, I'm gonna contribute because it's rude for me not to respond to the person who's asking a question, right? So hey, you want to know what happened last night? Oh, let me tell you, dude. Oh, it was insane. Who the hell are you? Oh, I don't know. She asked me a question. I'm just answering. I don't know who you are. But hold on, we got Kool-Aid in the chat just said something crazy. So check this out. My last lift I was in crashed in front of my house on the way to pick me up.
Oh,
Oh,
What?
That's
Like-
insane.
Like, how do you come back from that? Like, what? Obviously, well, at least I'm not gonna say obviously. I would
I just
hope
cancel the ride and drive. And
that the police was involved at that point, right? I would hope
That's
that the police
crazy.
was called because there was an accident. So if your Lyft driver was just like, "Oh no, we're good, just get in the car," I'd be like, "No, I'm good, dude."
like missing a front bumper. He's like, all right, get in.
Is that
Right,
your
like-
criteria now? Like, hey, I'll tip you if you don't crash on the way here.
Right. I mean,
with me in the
on
car.
top of the fact that the police report and all that had to be done, like, dude, you clearly crashed in front of my house. I don't know what the circumstances were in front of your house, right? I don't know if there was like a freaking ramp and the guy went off the ramp and hit something or whatever the case may be. But if he crashed in front of your house, that's a car that I don't think I want to get into, because who knows
Yes.
if he didn't just crash dropping somebody off before and then crash picking
Right?
somebody up before that. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
Like, just trying to get as close to the pickup point as possible.
I'm saying, like, nah, I'm good.
Like, I'm
You say he
literally
crashed
on
into
your
another
doorstep.
No. I'm good on that, bro. Imagine if it was like your parents' car. You were at your parents' house and they just drove into it and they're just like, "Oh no, you're fine. Don't worry, they're good. Let's just go." The fuck you mean?
Reeves, where were we going? And it was in San Antonio. We had that guy that he was very scary, like driving on the highway and shit. He was driving like really fast.
Oh,
It
like
was
weaving in and out of traffic. We were
yes.
going downtown to a concert.
Oh my god! I was like, get me out of this car right now.
It's the most nervous I've ever been in a vehicle like that. Like
It was crazy.
Like not bumper to bumper, but San Antonio was busy all the time.
Yes,
And
there's no.
this was like rush hour time frame. We're going to a concert, so like a early night concert. And this dude is just whipping through like 4 lanes of traffic, like he's going ape shit, like he stole something. I mean, I'm just in the back, and of course, like I don't deal well with like random people anyway. But man, I was like in the back, just like, oh.
It's like,
Yeah,
I might have to put my seat.
I watched a Mustang crash on my way to school. What's today? Sunday, 4 days ago, because it was raining. We've been getting a lot of rain recently, like a
Tis
lot.
the season.
It's been raining every day. So it actually just stopped raining
Florida.
like 20 minutes ago.
Mhm.
Anyways, so I'm in the turning lane to get right. Like I'm right next to my school. I'm in the turning lane. I'm waiting for the light. The straight, the go straight light goes green, and there's nothing but a Mustang and some, I don't know, Ford, whatever. And the Mustang immediately just gasses it.
Oh boy!
But mind you, it's raining, so the road is
it started
fucking
slipping.
wet. So it was like, what was it called? What was it called?
Fast and Furious.
It's like hydroplaning.
Hydroplaning, yeah.
Yeah.
So he started going like this, and then he fucking hooked left, went over the median, and hit a van on the other side of the road. I was just like, there's
That
no
sounds
fucking
like a
way I
very
just watched this
Mustang
happen.
behavior.
There's no way I just watched this happen at 10:30 in the morning. I was like, what the fuck? That's the
crazy.
first thing I told my friends as soon as I walked in the door. I was like, hey, I just watched a Mustang crash into a van.
It's like, hey, no biggie, but that was my morning.
Kool-Aid said they're all speed demons over there. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like I thought people drove bad here. They drive bad and fast in Florida.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, dude, it's
No,
terrible.
and it's honestly like
And people don't turn their lights on at night because the street lights are. It's like,
they're bright enough, right? It's like
Yeah.
streetlights light up enough of the road. Like,
it's like
come
I
on,
almost
dude.
I almost hit somebody
Just
because
turn it on.
we were on a part of the road where the street lights were kind of like and it was raining. They didn't have their lights on. I was like fucking. I was like, what? I don't know how exactly.
Their headlights
I was
is
close.
an add-on.
I was
It's
close
an
enough
add-
to like realize how close I was, and I was
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Uh,
Coming
fuck
back
my
from
life,
the gym.
I love it.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Wild.
that's wild. But honestly, like when I lived in Florida, that was definitely like another thing is that people there just like I honestly believe that like in Florida that even the what do they call them, road rangers or something, they like the ones that are on the freaking highways, they don't do nothing.
yeah.
Like they literally will just just drive by. I
the
was
highway
literally
patrol?
driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was driving on the highway and I shit you not, a Mustang was like this, bro. Through the traffic,
Oh,
just
no.
everybody going around everybody. And when I tell you that he was probably going like over 100 miles per hour, I was going 75 and he flew past me. And I was like, what the fuck? And then when I looked to my right, there was one of those fucking Rangers. I was like, oh, he's about to get this guy. Didn't fucking
Nope.
move. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, yo, if this was New York, that guy would have been like, woo! Oh, hell yeah, high speed chase. I'm gonna get this motherfucker. Like, but nothing. He didn't even. I feel like he just literally sat there, chewed
Dude.
some gum, and was just like,
The
Yeah, he's
cops
going
on the
fast.
turnpike here give 0 fucks. And
Oh,
it's like
no.
the speed limit is 70. Everyone goes at least 80. It's like
Yeah.
I myself was going 80 and people were flying by me. I was in like the slow lane and people were fucking, even the trucks, even the semis were fucking flying past me. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
You don't
It's
have to go
crazy.
faster, buddy. It's okay.
Yeah, you don't feel like you got to catch up to them, all right?
No.
Let them go and put their lives at risk all they want.
Dude.
You don't worry about them.
On our
worry
ride
about
home,
yourself.
Like, if we ever want to
We
talk
had-
about driving stories, I've got a million. Just living here for like the last 6 months, I've got a million.
on our
Trust me, I
drive
think we
home,
all
we had
do.
like 3 crazy incidents with people racing. One was a motorcycle and 2 cars. They're weaving
Oh,
in and out of
no.
traffic like and flying. And then I don't know what were they? Ferraris or whatever the hell they were.
No, actually, the tamest
course.
ones were like there was like a Lambo, a Ferrari, 2 nice Corvettes, and they were just like cruising, like
Those guys were
like our
cruising.
speed. We passed them, and then the ones that were like it was like little rice burners that were like just
Yep.
going
Like
ape
pop.
shit. Yeah, and then, like
Uh-huh.
every time they shift, it's popping and sound like it sounds terrible. It's like
Uh-huh.
it was like I wish Fast and Furious.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
there was a
wish
lot
Fast
of
and Furious.
people. I'm like, you're gonna kill somebody.
Dude, I went to a car show. I don't know if I told you guys about that. There were some beautiful cars out there.
Nice.
It's like going to a car show in Orlando makes me realize how much money I don't have.
That's why you keep in school.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, you
Honestly,
guys wanna
though,
do it?
like, go ahead, Reeves.
You want to do a quick "Am I the asshole?" and then
Oh hell yeah! Hell
since
yeah.
Let's do it.
we're pushing like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
do
wow.
it.
All right.
No,
all right.
we didn't start till 7:30.
Here is we're bringing Am I the asshole back, by the way, right?
Mhm.
I won't
Story
keep it
time.
as sparingly as it is.
Story
So here
time.
we go.
Let's
Am
go.
I the asshole for telling my girlfriend that the tattoo of her dad's face on her shoulder makes sex weird from some angles? My
Ooh.
girlfriend's father passed away last year. He always had her back, and for that reason, she had a photorealistic tattoo of his face on her shoulder. Not a problem, we're in the dark or face to face, but reverse cowgirl and doggy are really awkward for me. I try not to look, but it's weird making eye contact with her dad while I'm in her. She thinks I'm an asshole for getting freaked out by a tattoo. I think it's not normal to want to see your partner's parents' face while having sex. Am I the asshole?
I feel like he's not the asshole.
No,
Like, I mean,
that's
No,
weird.
I don't
It's like-
think so.
you know, that is weird. You're fucking, fucking, and you look up or whatever, and you see her father who's passed away. It's just a little just awkward. It's just like
Yeah.
ruins the mood.
Yeah. I mean,
Here-
I
here's my
understand the
take.
sentiment, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my take. When it comes to like
Different
tattoos
placement.
and like in memoriam of somebody or somebody that meant something to you or something, one, location obviously is the biggest factor there. Like you don't want it to
Yeah.
be somewhere where it's gonna be a hindrance
right
to
here.
any part of your life.
Mhm.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And two, what you choose to get tattooed. Like I listen, believe me, I get it. Some people have such an impact on people's lives that you
Yeah.
want to get their face tattooed on you. I get that, and I'm not against that at all in any way, shape, or form. But you need to be prepared for that conversation when somebody is looking at that
Right.
tattoo
Yep.
at the not so best moments. Like it's just like for me, I feel like dates is big, right? Dates is fine because it's just numbers on your body, and then that is memorandum. You have that date on there that means something to you and meant something to that person, right? That you can have anywhere, doesn't matter. The face, the portrait, that
No way.
I'd say you want to put somewhere not so like like on the back. But it sounds like to me
Well,
she had a
I-
giant face portrait on her back.
How about
right?
the back?
I mean,
So no, it's because he said doggy and whatchamacallit, right?
Yeah, it's on her. It's on the back of her shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Doggy
on
and
her
reverse
back.
cowgirl is what he
Yeah.
said.
So it's like I honestly I don't know how I feel if I had my wife and she had her father's face on the back. Like I don't. I don't think I'd be able
all
to.
the time.
Right. It's like, I can't.
what are you
I
doing to
can't.
my
I don't-
daughter?
I don't know. Absolutely
You don't
not.
want to know.
Absolutely not. I couldn't. So
Or just Sharpie some
Am I
like
the
little
asshole?
sunglasses on it.
right. So am I the asshole? I say no, because I think if I was in the same situation, I would also feel like, yeah,
Yes.
this is kind of like
Kinda
You know
weird.
what I mean?
Kind of weird.
Yeah, but you can't like she's not gonna get it removed. Obviously, like that's her father that
He's-
passed away. So like, how
Get
do you
some
solve
duct
this
tape.
problem? Like, yeah, what
Duct
do you
tape.
leave a shirt
I don't
on
know.
all
I
the
don't know
time
about getting
now,
it
or
removed.
you're only
Colorful
doing it
But
duct
face to
tape.
face?
I think we'd have to have something covering it at all times when it's like a shirt.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
sucks
keep
for
your
me,
shirt on.
but
Yeah.
it's just it
Crazy,
is what it
this
is.
dude.
I don't want that man staring at me while I'm doing these things to you. It's just
Especially like like the famous like Jesus painting where like
See? Duct
anywhere you
tape.
walk, it seems like the eyes are following you. Like, I wonder if it's like I wonder
That's
if it's
her
like that,
dad.
too. Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I get it. But I agree with him. He is not the asshole. He has every right to feel that way.
Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Also, they gotta have a questionable sex life if his attention can be easily diverted by a tattoo like that.
I feel
Well,
like
it
it's one
depends
of
on how
those
much
things, though, that,
detail the
like,
tattoo's in.
It's like one of those things that once you notice it, you can't unnotice it.
You can't
That's
stop looking at
right.
it. You're like,
So the
oh,
first
God.
time, like he probably didn't notice it for a hot minute, I would assume, and then like all of a sudden he like makes eye contact that one time, and then now
He's
it's,
like,
it's
"Ah."
all you can look at every time. Like,
Ah.
Yeah, it's just like when you're dating. Like when you're dating somebody. So okay, not to sound shallow, okay, but when I was dating back in the day,
It's
right
the
before I
X.
was married, I was dating a girl, and there was one reason why I told myself I could never see myself seriously being with this girl, and it was her laugh. I couldn't
Oh.
do it.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't look past the laugh. Like her laugh was just so obnoxious, and I said I can't do it. So because of that, anytime I would say something, I know that I was gonna find it funny. I was like, oh, I don't want to make her laugh.
Oh
So
no!
it's like I was trying
And
to
that's
avoid
why she's the ex.
it. And that's why she was never an ex. She was never an actual
Oh.
girlfriend. Yeah, because I
Oh,
was
hey,
like,
I got this great joke.
because it's unfair to her.
Never mind.
Oh, no.
Never mind.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh my god, that reminds me of this story that I just forgot. Never
Oh,
mind.
I forgot.
You know what? It's not
So
that
it-
funny.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I was like, ooh, but that's just
Can
something
you
can't
can
avoid.
you
Like, once
reenact
you know it's
the
there.
laugh for us?
Like, give us like an example of what
very
it sounded
unique.
like.
It's very unique. So it sounded like she was suffocating and
Oh.
gasping at the same time. So she was like, and I was like, not only am I genuinely scared of your laugh, I'm genuinely scared that you might not live if I give you a joke that's too funny. So I was like, I can't do this. Like,
See-
I would be scared that I would be committing murder at one time.
My best friend, his laugh, he's got like he's got like 3 different laughs, right? So it's like depends on how funny he thinks it is. So if you crack a joke and he thinks it's really really fucking funny, he'll have one of those laughs where she's like,
What the hell?
because
Like the sprinkler laugh.
yeah, and it's just like I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And then he'll just keep going, and like it'll get worse. Oh, dude.
And then you got the people
I
who have
fucking
the
miss that
silent
guy.
laugh.
Oh,
Like
their
their mouth is just open. Just
you just
Dude, that happens to me if I'm laughing for a long period of time and I literally run out of air in my lungs, but I'm still laughing. I've had moments.
no, but I
like
mean
these-
like
oh my God.
I mean like just from the very beginning when they have no sound at all.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just silent and they're just bouncing and just.
Mine
You're
is
sitting
not
there like-
silent.
Are you all right?
Oh, whoa.
Back door, hey
Back door, heyo.
Let's go.
I think
Hey, speaking
Miriam's
of
calling you,
rain,
Sea-Dog.
there's another rain cloud that's literally coming my way right now.
it's just gonna be
It's
that
just
section.
glooming the sky.
Oh,
Probably.
no. Oh no.
Let me check actually.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap things up here because we have hit the hour mark, and I want to make sure we don't end this episode too late. But I gotta say, guys, for having no structure at all and just literally ranting and talking, this was insane.
We
Yeah,
could
this
talk
was
forever.
Awesome. Right off of the dome. Hello.
The vibes are immaculate.
But let's wrap this up. So I guess we'll start off with saying thank you to everybody in the chat, everybody who joined us for the live while you guys were chatting and talking with us. We appreciate you. Obviously, if we didn't throw your comment in the chat, now that we know that that's an ability, I will be incorporating that into our podcast going
Yeah, that's
forward
dope,
because
by
I
the
think
way.
that is dope.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
also,
yeah.
for those of you guys who just tuned in for the first time for this episode, make sure you go check out our other episodes. They are all posted on YouTube and Spotify. You can catch clips of the podcast on TikTok, so make sure you follow us on that as well. But we do end on a shower thought every episode. So, Mr. Reeps,
Shower thought.
Take it
Shower
away.
thought. Shower thought. That's a new
thought-
one.
thought-
We
thought-
gotta start that now too.
Shower thought.
A shower thought for today. All right, here we go. Saying or any verbal pause is the human equivalent of buffering. Now you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Hey, thank you everybody for hanging out with us today. Episode 10 in the books.
let's go.
That's a wrap.
Double
Double digits,
digits.
Oh yeah.
We
You know,
appreciate
this is
yeah,
the last
everybody in the
time-
chat was awesome this time. Loved having us.
It
chat,
really
being able to
was.
throw up. That was dope.
Absolutely. We appreciate all you guys.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
And just a quick note, now that you mentioned that, this is the last time that we're gonna be able to say that we've gone up in digits until episode 99, guys.
Oh, man.
Aw.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to
Crazy.
recording.
Yeah.
Join us next
I
time
know,
when we
guys.
talk about the Hawk 2 air girl.
Oh
that's
my
cool.
god.
That's gonna be a
Oh
fun one.
God. GG's, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Till
for
next
coming
time.
in,
GG.
chatting with us.
Bye.
Later.